Hello there YouTube, this is Sibbles and Bits back at it again with another Arcanium run. We are now officially in the beta branch for 1.0. As you can see down here, beta build for August 12th. And another full disclosure, this time it definitely wasn't my fault. I noticed while recording the video that my audio sliders weren't sliding, and basically what happened is, for whatever reason, my entire audio settings in OBS got completely scuffed, restored back to factory default. I don't know what happened. Anyways, I've already explained a lot of stuff, so if I'm trying to talk really fast, I apologize. I'm trying to fit this into my day and I've already lost half an hour. Anyways, I wanted to state that today we're going to be looking at the new character Thoram, mainly because besides seeing a spreadsheet of what he's allegedly supposed to do at one point early in his development before he was even playable, I was able to see what he does, but otherwise as far as a live environment, how the game is functioning right now, we really don't know. So that's something that I wanted to check out, and I'll go more into that later. Again, we still might eventually see some arena gameplay, but the arena is quite bugged right now. I personally, to be honest, don't feel like it's in a very good place. It was kind of fun though, because the bug was that enemies are scaling too hard and elites were dealing double damage. It was actually quite spicy and quite fun. But regardless, we still came out with a flawless victory with 650 extra gold because we're built different. Anyway. Anyways, so the reason why we're going to concede this, we're going to use the same exact settings that I randomized before. And also to note is that this Apex all enemies deal 25% more damage and have 25% more HP is in effect. So I'm hoping that the run doesn't just end at the beginning, because it actually is a big significance in the beginning of the game. And this is what I was referring to a while back when I was okay, well, I want to make a guide, but I want to make sure that it's future proof. The way that you look at the game when enemies are suddenly dealing 2 to 3 more damage and having 6 extra health is quite significant in this game. If enemies have 6 more health, you might be thinking, well, I mean, that's not that much. It's just an extra 6 health. When enemies have 30, that's what, an extra 20% health in the long run? Yes, but when the average character deals around, 10 damage a game, maybe up to 15 if they're lucky, all of a sudden adding an extra 6 health means that some characters won't be able to win their lane on turn 3, assuming again that the breakpoint is turn 3. I haven't looked at a bunch of enemy balance. Generally speaking, you want to win a fight by turn 3 or start killing enemies by turn 3, because if an enemy is dead, they cannot attack you, and most importantly, they cannot ult you. And turn 3 is around the average at the start of the game when enemies are going to start ulting you, and now they're going to ult you for an additional amount of damage. It's not exactly 25% more, but again, it's around 20, and so you're going to have to deal with that. And if enemies are now ulting you because you can't kill them, you now have to figure out how to soak that ult, and it gets gradually harder. If enemies are dealing 2 to 3 more damage each turn, then you're going to start getting chipped away a little bit more, because all of a sudden bark skin isn't going to cut it, right? Bark skin plus regen, okay, well that technically, theoretically blocks 7 unless I get wounded or something like that. Well, now it's going to have to block for 9. Otherwise, you take that permanent damage, and this is happening in all 3 lanes. So this is more significant than you might come to think, because all of a sudden all the breakpoints for the game, especially the early game, have changed. All the breakpoints for elites have changed. All the breakpoints for bosses have changed. Anyways, we're going to go into here, and what our team was, again, we're going to go ahead and pick the same team. Add Thoram, we had Lady, and we had Moze. These ultimates. And so I'm going to go ahead and go through all this again. So again, apologies if I'm talking really fast while I'm going through this. We're going to take a look at Thoram's starter kit. And Thoram is technically a mercenary class. He has access to minions, but he's more like a tanky minion character, as opposed to like Ragnarok, which, yes, he's got a lot of durability. He has access to green, so he's pretty tough there. He has access to purple, very tough. But Thoram is all about putting out like chunky minions and getting good effects out of them, and like buffing his team with a whole bunch of stuff. So he's kind of like a mix between, I'd say, maybe Ragnarok and Angorn. And his passive is that each turn, the lowest health ally is going to get a Resolve shuffled into their deck. And as you can see here, Resolve is gain 1 AP, draw 1 card, expend for 0 cost. This is incredibly important because, and I'll explain it in a specific case, but if you think about it, the start of your turn happens after you draw new cards. So you have, at the start of the game, 6 cards in your deck. Now you have 7, and one of those is basically going to draw through and, expend itself. So it's technically a free draw, a free AP. Now, a lot of characters in the game have 2 2-cost cards in their deck, and so it's hard for them to actually gain leverage in the early game because they're slow. If you draw 3 2-cost cards, you can't do anything, and you gotta wait till the next turn to spend that. Meanwhile, you might be getting hit for now 7 and 9 damage, or multi-strike 4 times 3. And it really hurts when a character is constrained like that. This could help resolve that issue, but also those characters can now build up their AP faster than normal. And so, going back to what I was saying before, you have 6 cards in your deck after drawing your hand on turn 1. This is going to shuffle in. So now you have 1 out of 7 of your cards is going to be extra AP. If you somehow don't draw it, which is quite likely, now you have 4 cards remaining in your deck, and now you have 2 of these in there. So 2 out of 5. It's possible that they're both at the bottom of your deck and you don't draw them still. Now you get 3 of these. Your next hand is just going to be a whole bunch of resolves. And so you're able to play a resolve, play that card, play a resolve, play that card. And so you get a lot of card plays, which is very important, especially with a lot of early artifacts. You're also able to get a lot of AP, obviously. And you're going to get theoretically up to 6 Fury on that turn, on turn 3, which is, again, get your ultimate and just go ahead and pop something. Otherwise, even if you assume that you might only get one of these, because again it's the lowest health, so somebody else could take damage and now become the lowest health, it allows characters who have 10 cost ultimates to be able to get an extra AP, an extra Fury, and be able to play their ultimate on turn 3, which is when ults start coming out. Obviously, again, there's fast enemies like Goblin Looter, for example, who ults every 2 turns. But, again, as an average, before, haven't checked the enemy stats, you're going to get ulted around the 3rd turn. And therefore, you're going to start losing momentum in the fight. I guess we can go into his abilities. So, Forge Spirit is a minion that costs 2, is red, does 2/8. Easiest comparison here is with Ragnarok, who has a 2/6, 2 cost. The one thing to note, though, is that Ragnarok has promote. Therefore, saying that this minion is technically tankier than his minion isn't necessarily true, but it is for the most part. And then, of course, it gets 50% on both, which is actually quite interesting. Actually, I think Ragnarok's minions also go up to somewhere around here. I think it's like a 9. But this is still technically more. Being able to drop a 2 cost that shields for 8 and does 2 damage is like Celeste's shield that shields for 8. And it miraculously has like 2 red thorns on it, if you think about it. So this is actually a pretty potent card. Makes him very good at protecting teammates. Is it enough to protect teammates in a meta where enemies are suddenly dealing more damage? We're going to probably have to see about that. He's got a average Joe, like, one cost melee 4 damage. Like, this is just quintessential. Like, this is what a starter card is. It's not necessarily good. It's not necessarily bad. It's to be expected. And then he has Searing Blow, which is a 2 cost melee, 3 damage, 3 burn. Honestly, this is incredible. I think that this is probably his best starting card. Does that mean that you keep it till the end of the game? Not necessarily, but it's got, because it hits and applies a burn, it's able to interact with a load of mechanics. And let's just take 2 analogies, right? First off, again, like I said, 1 cost melee for 4 damage is to be expected. Some characters obviously have like more than that, but those are their good cards, right? So otherwise you've got let's see, Ragnarok's Chomp, which is one of his honestly best cards because he has 2 cost cards as well, is 4 damage 4. Lady technically hits twice, but she's doing 4 forward in a with Dual Strike. She does 4 forward with Lachey Strike. Her dash attack is technically ranged. It has dash, but it does 1 less than 4 damage. So generally speaking, like, that's what a character is expected to do, is 4 damage forward. This is doing for 1 AP. Let's just take a look at that. We're dealing 3 damage forward, which is obviously not so great. It's technically less. It's not dashing like Lady is. It's not ranged. It's a little bit less than what you would consider a starter. But then you look at the other side. The other AP is 3 burn. Aurora's starter is 1 for 2 burn. And so this is dealing like double that damage over time, or 50% more damage if, again, the enemy somehow like cleanses, does something like that. That's significant. So this is essentially a 2 for 12. Because the first turn you're going to deal 3 damage, the next turn you're going to deal 2 damage, next turn you're going to deal 1 damage. So that's like obviously very significant. Obviously, if Aurora draws 2 burns, she's going to deal more damage over time than this, because she's going to deal 10 total for 3, 2, 1 for a total of 10. But if Thoram is playing this, it's dealing 3, and then that's 6 for 9. So it's honestly not that bad when you consider that you only have to get 1 card for this, and then you can also be playing Hammer Strike. Now, obviously, he has 2 cost cards, so he's going to feel a little bit slow if he gets the wrong draws. But another thing to note is that if he does get the wrong draw, like let's say first turn is 3 Forged Spirits. The next turn, he's going to have a spare AP, so he's going to have 4. So then he can play 2 Searing Blows, which will apply 6 burn. In order for Aurora to get 6 burn, she has to draw all 3 of her Scorches to apply 2 burn 3 times. And that's 15 damage over time. All Thoram has to do is draw 2, or somehow get an AP, which again, he's a 2 cost character, so he wants the AP. Then you only have to draw 2 Searing Blows, which is significantly more likely to happen than drawing 3 Scorches all of a sudden. So Thoram actually has like a lot of a lot of damage. And he's got some decent defense with his Forge Spirit. Like, honestly, he's quite ridiculous. And then the ulti that we grabbed was Call of the Mountain, which is 10 shield and 2 fury in an area, so obviously we want him to be in the middle. One thing that we need to figure out is, does he get this 2 fury? I would assume so. So obviously that's pretty good with stuff like Stormfire Pendant. That's very good with any other like artifacts that interact with ultimates going off, like the one that gives you immune when you ulti, one that heals you when you ulti. There's cards that scale off of how much fury you have. Technically, you can utilize those. If you have characters who are red or yellow, they're very good at generating fury. So then all of a sudden, you have an ulti spamming option. And already, he kind of like facilitates the ulti spamming option here. And when this upgrades, it gets up to 18 shield. And to note, most of the time, when you upgrade an ultimate, it goes up by 50%. Because of that's just how they decided that ultimates are going to scale. His goes up by 80% because it's not touching this, which is probably a good thing. But 18 shield is quite significant in the late game. Again, we're talking about old Arcanium on Apex, where you have Razar who does 26 AoE. This covers most of that. You get Ward, or you get Spirit somehow. All of a sudden, you're pretty much shielding for everybody. But going back to the early game implications of this, this is 9 Fury, which means that we can use it on either the end of turn 3 or the start of turn 4, whichever behooves us, right? 10 Shield and 2 Fury on turn 3 is significant because, again, as I mentioned before, turn 3 is when you start losing momentum in a fight. If you have not started taking out enemies by turn 3, generally speaking, you're starting to lose ground. You're going to take damage, be it like a little bit of chip damage or like a single target, like huge amount of damage. This is what uses your campfires. It's what uses your gold at the inn. You would prefer to avoid that. So what Thoram's doing here is he's gaining 10 shield and an AoE, which is obviously okay. Like, if we're being attacked normally, that's good shielding. If we're being ulted, this obviously helps mitigate that. So the other side of it is the 2 Fury. So characters that have 10 cost ultimates really suffer in those situations because of the fact that at the early stages of the game, it's kind of hard for them to get their ultimates off. This helps with that. Also, his passive, the Resolve, can help with that. So you might be able to just get either your ultimate or, in Belady's case, get another ultimate and just go ahead and push and kill an elite, push and kill an enemy, push and kill multiple enemies, however you're going to go about it. This is, in the early game, going to be a huge momentum shift because if we're not winning, this could turn the fight. I'm actually very impressed looking at this ultimate. It looks very good. And with that, I think we can go ahead and go back into here because that's about 20 minutes of me explaining like my early game impressions of Thoram. Now let's all go ahead and send this in and actually take a look at that. So I chose to go Zir. Now obviously there is red enemies here and that's kind of spookums, but the odds of us having 2 red enemies, albeit it can happen, is quite low due to the fact that we only have 1 out of 3 enemies here that are red. So we're most likely going to run into Sand Elementals and Skarl's Tamers. And when we get to Threat 5, we obviously got Jakir Hunters that we got to worry about, but we also have Tamari Mender and Tomb Crawlers, so odds are we're actually not going to run into that many red enemies here, which is good. So we're going to just go ahead and ignore that. Now, if we do get 2 Molten Scorpions, it's going to be quite sluffer. But the reason why we're coming here is because we've got good minion like abilities here. We've got access to Pierce in case we do want to deal damage to red enemies. Thoram has a lot of melee cards. Lady has a bunch of melee cards, so the draw would enable us to actually use the AP that he's giving people. Obviously, like Ornate Hammers here, that's good. There's also a lot of like burn interaction, not quite in the commons, but you start getting into here, and where is it? Fiery Wand. Critical damage to enemies that inflict burn. We have a character that inflicts burn, so that's pretty good. Otherwise, Bounty Hunter's Satchel is pretty good for, like, all this stuff is relatively pretty damn good. Like, probably Vanquisher's Pauldron is the worst. Traveler's Cape is going to be a bit yikes. Beast Slayer's Trophy is amazing for us as far as defense is concerned, as is Radiant Banner. Again, we're putting out relatively tanky minions. If they survive the turn, then we get more Fury and we're able to ulti spam. Another thing that I went through in the last game was the idea of, since we have Moze, and after you get your overload engine going, unless you have access to Arcanist Staff, you don't really get to interact with your ultimate anymore. Thoram is going to be able to give access to, well, slowly through his ultimate, right? He's going to help Moze gain access to his ultimate still. Okay, I'm actually liking these a lot better than our last ones. The ones that you didn't see. Destroy 10 enemies in Uzir, pretty easy. We get an ability. I'll take it. Curious Curio is a artifact for 2 locations. We'll take a look. And then destroy 30 enemies in Scorched Lands, get an heirloom. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, we're looking at our start here. Obviously, we don't want to go to this camp. Why can't we go here? We can. Okay. So, I'm immediately looking at this right here. One shock to all enemies. As I've stated in another video, this is actually much better for us than it is for most enemies, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this. And it's still not increasing threat. I don't know if that's intended. I don't think that these are correct. 26? That should be... Hold up. As it should be. Oh, that's right, because they start at... Wait, do they? I'm gonna have to take a look at that again. Anyways, 26 should be quite easy for us to handle. We want to probably have Moze over here. This is looking good. Okay. Especially with this shock going off, this is going to be a lot. Searing Blow and Hammer Strike. That's good. Gonna take quite a bit of damage though. Unless... I think we can work this actually. An odd effect there. Probably instead of the 4, I was supposed to bring Lady over here so that she could flush a dual. Regardless, getting him off of this multi-strike is pretty much what we want to do. That'll save a lot of damage on everybody. I'm debating putting Lady in here. This is going to be an extra 3 damage on everybody, but... 3 damage, so we got to deal 11 damage. That will be 4. 6, technically. Then that'd be 6. Yeah, this is fine. Good stuff. Lucky us, we're just gonna wait out these Forge Spirits. We got the Resolve. You really have less health than Lady? That's so weird. Anyways, this is still good for us. Go ahead and block here. Lady's going to take a little bit of damage. That's unfortunate, but there's not really much that we can do against this guy. So yeah, again, this guy deals multi-strike 2-3, but due to the fact that it's being increased by 50%, that now goes up to 5. And so you're going to take just a little bit more damage. That's going to add up. Don't really have any access to heal, so we're just not going to deal with most of that. Okay. Void Claws. It's basically his missile barrage, except that it only goes forward, but is 1 cost. That's quite good. Hellfire. Lots of damage. Lots of damage right now. And again, if Lady... I don't think I explained it in this recording of the video, but if Lady does get access to those resolves, she can't really do much with them because all of her cards are 1 cost. So she's just going to spend 3 AP anyways. Getting her a 2 cost is going to go a long way, and her actually being able to utilize that and get an extra pounce. Void Shrine will take it. It's quite misfortunate. Dispel all enemies at the start of each turn. That actually could be quite significant. Otherwise, apply weak to all enemies. That's pretty nice. Chance for elusives is a ton of money. Actually, quite difficult. 1 week would pretty much just shore up our defenses. I think we're going to bankroll this game, though. Also, a thing that I explained in the recording is since I'm going over like a whole bunch of Thoram stuff as it comes up, and I'll be like comparing it to other things, this may end up being like a seriously overexplained run, but the idea is to get you guys in the mindset of when you're looking at a character that is new, like what are the things that you should be looking at, generally speaking. And not necessarily just the things like, oh, obviously, okay, so he does burn, so he'd be a good support tank for Aurora. Like, yeah, that makes sense, but stuff like how his early game is going to be versus how he might be able to scale late game and things that we could or could not do about that. And that's primarily what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to be more of an edutainment. Like, obviously, you guys, a lot of you guys like watching people play through Apex difficulty because it's the top content. And I'm just trying my best to not only, you know, obviously entertain you with a little bit of banter and, you know, silly plays by doing all random, but also being able to, you know, like exercise the analytical parts of your guys' mind, the scientific parts of your guys' mind, the willingness to, like, experiment, do weird stuff, learn things, and apply to your game so that you guys can make advances too. Honestly debating if we're good for this elite battle. It sounds crazy, but I don't think it is. Yeah, honestly. Now, it's an Anador elite battle, so our red damage is pretty dang good here, and blue damage might get stifled a little bit, but there's 1 blue enemy, I believe. Maybe there's not even. God, I should remember this. It's the wolf? Maybe the bear isn't here yet. I think it's the wolf, spider, spider, so yeah, there's not even a blue enemy here. Let's do this. 2 wolves. That's actually quite freaking scary. Oy. Okay. Well, since this is the bed that we are in, go ahead, start trying to face race here. Let's split out this damage a little bit. Don't really care about that. Let's get some overload. We're going to split out this damage by doing this. Another thing to think about these DOTs is that this is basically block dead. Every time that I get a DOT placed on me, I now have to block an additional 5 on top of whatever the heck is going on. Like, say, I don't know, like this 13 damage. So, that makes things significantly more difficult. He honestly might not be fine. Definitely going to take quite a bit of damage. So let's go ahead, push that. A little bit of extra damage here. Damage is going to happen, so we're just going to make it happen. This is going to set us up for a good turn 3. Wait a second. Why does it say you need 10 Fury for your ultimate now? Now it says 10. I wasn't crazy, right? Like, that was saying 9 before. Okay, that's actually quite significant. Well, this is gonna be rough. That. We're gonna live, but this is no es bueno. Lady's gonna get access to Pounce again. We're gonna allow her to do that. Because that's pretty much gonna be the way that we're gonna be able to do this. An AoE shield, 2 Fury, so that's working properly. And let's make sure to use this first. That power is going to be significant. Please give us a card, thank you. Oh boy. Gain Force Shield whenever you draw a card. That could actually be pretty damn good. Also draw 1 card whenever you draw a minion. Like, I think on Thoram specifically, this is quite good. Otherwise, Templar Oxblade, we have no green or... Do we? We don't. We don't have green or yellow, so this is absolutely useless. I think we're going to get more use out of this than we are Carved Wood Pipe, because we don't have any other draw engines as of the time being. I guess this counts as our ultimate, so this could also give a lady like a ton of shield. Okay. I mean... Okay. That could be significant. I think that pain suppression might be, like, really good. But we currently don't have a way to heal Moze. So losing the 4 health is actually quite significant. And of course, you guys may have realized that that's what they pretty much did to pain suppression, was they made you lose 4 health for it, which on a lot of characters isn't really a big deal, but currently it kind of is. Go ahead, we'll take that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're probably going to use this camp. Actually, we shouldn't use that camp until after this assault battle. Seems a little weird, but it's true. See? Now they have the amount of health that I think that they should be having. Because it's currently what? Threat 3? So if it's threat 3, just go ahead and like not try to math in my head here because that's not very good. Let's go ahead and math on a calculator because it's much better at that than I am. Calculator. Their base health is 24. We're on threat 4 right now because that's why we chose to come here first. So that is plus 8 times 1.5. Let's actually like use the order of operations though. So that's 32 times 1.5 is 48. So yes, enemies had way too little health before, so I'm gonna have to submit that as a bug report. I guess maybe they possibly did that as a... They don't want people to die turn 1, which would be kind of funny. Because, I mean, take a bunch of damage maybe, but definitely not die. Let's actually just... We'll eat this. It's just a week. It's actually quite significant. Can we kill one of you guys? Let's start by taking a look at this. $18. It's not looking like it. Lunge, that's going to deal 5, so you're down to 13. You're weakened, so you're not going to help much. So you're pretty much just here to block. Lady's going to be mostly blocked. You can mostly block. Yeah, I think we just go ahead and we deal with the consequences of our actions. You're fine. That next turn. up. Did that just... No, it didn't. Okay. Shea might be what we're looking for here. Also, Arcane Spark could theoretically be quite good. Especially on Thoram himself, be able to save an AP, and it basically does as much damage as his Hammer Strike, except it's also ranged, and it costs 0, so it's quite significant. Otherwise, obviously, Mozabus could potentially use it. This upgrades to 5, I believe. Quite good. Touche could make Lady a little bit more tanky. Apparently, we are having troubles actually blocking due to the fact that, well, the ultimate is actually 10 cost and not 9, like we were originally told. So I think the team might have to sort of like figure that out, and I think that Touche is perfectly fine. It can replace a Fléché Strike. Whereas I think that this goes down in cost when it upgrades. Allegedly. I'm honestly, I don't know if I can trust these things anymore. I'll believe you. You know what I think happened? I bet you this was 9 at some point. Like, I don't see how this could possibly go down 1 in value and do, like, plus 80%. I think what happened... Yeah, it's counting, like, the -1. There's just no way. Unless they really want to push 12-size decks, and so all ultis are supposed to go down 1 when they upgrade, but I highly doubt that. They're already quite good. Now we're in kind of a situation because we do want to stay at threat 4 when we fight this, and we're going to go ahead and we'll do that actually. Perfectly fine. They're cleansing everything at the start of the turn. That hurts Thoram and only Thoram. Otherwise, if the Scorpion decides that it's going to burn us, we're going to be able to utilize that. Otherwise, these guys are just going to block, which is perfectly fine. Will be a bit annoying, but you know, is what it is. Probably was best to do 2 hammer strikes there. Don't care about this burn. Let's block as much as we can. Draw a card, get some shielding. Do as much damage as we can here. Pass finished. good to me. Another thing though is that this is actually adding 10 here. And despite the fact that we are ulti plus, that says it's 6 here, still require 7 here. So that's... oh, that's a huge bug report. I'll have to remember to put that in after this. I'm actually really liking Mind Shock here, due to the fact that Mosbus is ending up with a whole ton of extra energy, plus we have Evocation. Due to Thoram giving him extra energy through Resolve, he very frequently has more AP than he knows what to, or overload than he knows what to do with. I'm gonna go ahead and take this. It's also good damage, so we want it for that reason. Okay, Thoram definitely wants one of these, because we do really want that Call of the Mountain on turn 2. Plus, again, his starting deck is a little, oof. I think we can get rid of... actually, do we get rid of a Magic Volley? Yeah, I think we do. Okay. We're going to do a whole bunch of towning here. 20 to all heroes. Willing to use this at this point. Then the question is can I gain enough power and time to take one of these shard battles? I think that we can. I think it might be this card pile. And then I think we honestly want to take this before threat 8? Or no, threat 9. I want to take this before threat 9, because then at that point we're going to have to deal with some tougher enemies. But how exactly do we navigate that situation? That might be this fight, have a pocket camp here. Give an oracle in case we want to up tier something. That would be 6, 7, and 8. Might even take this card pile instead. Okay. Oh, if there's relics there. That could be a significant increase. Yeah, as you've definitely probably noticed, these normal enemy or easy enemies are scaling quite hard at this point, due to the fact that they're just gaining 2 base health every single threat that we go, and that's technically being increased by 3 due to the fact that they're gaining 50% more health due to all their bonuses. And it's making it not necessarily somewhat difficult, but definitely concerning when we don't gain that much damage out of something. Go ahead, we'll hit you with that. Block with that. We take 1 damage, that's fine by me. Do that. Honestly, quite scared of your 7 AoE you're going to have next turn. I don't think we're going to be able to kill you, but not much we can do about that. Especially with Lady getting scuffed like that. this. That damage. Do we have to eat that damage? This be better. Three, 5 damage. 21, 16. Now what I probably should have done is started focusing those tomb crawlers so that I don't get hit by his ultimate, since we were already going to get hit by this anyways. But here we are. I might as well bop it. Maybe we're not going to be able to take that shard battle if we can't even take some normal enemies here. Oh man, we're weakened to oblivion. Can't do anything. Oh fuck, I wanted to use that. I don't know why I clicked that button. Anyways. That's unfortunate. Nice that they gave that to the elusive. They use this icon in Arena 2 to make sure that you don't just face race the middle lane and win. You get more money if you take out the side lanes. I think is quite good. Rough. A second touche would definitely make Lady tankier. But we're gonna end up losing like quite a bit of damage, but this also combos well with her vulnerable ults. I like that. Otherwise, Arcanium Flux, 3 resilience for 2 is relatively okay, but the fact that you also gain 1 locked overload later is paying up front for 1 for 3 resilience, and that's quite good. But again, we need to find somebody who can actually like defend themselves here. What I almost want to do, what I think is going to actually happen, is we're going to take this fight, we have this, we're able to hit up this, and then we'll see how we're feeling. But that is going to have to be for the next video, because I spent a lot of time explaining my thoughts on Thoram. I'll have to take a look at that again and figure out exactly why all the ultimates are showing that they're 1 less cost. Because that definitely threw me for a loop. Definitely changes how I think about Thoram. Like, I legitimately thought that this was an amazing ultimate. And if you have to actually, like, get down to 14 cards just to make it look like that, 9 for this, that's obviously not available in the early game, and so therefore its early game potential drops significantly. That's actually quite misfortunate. Anyways, I'm going to jump out here and take a look at that, because I swear that it said that. I might be wrong though. No, even here it says that it's 9 cost, but it's costing 1 extra. In fact, everybody's is costing 1 extra. It could be that this actually isn't the same as the card mechanically, and this is just like an image of the card. Or everybody's ultimate is costing 1 extra, because reasons. Which is quite concerning. Because even I bet you if we go over to pounds, right? So it was 7 even though we increased its cost. But it's saying that it's 6 here and 6 here. That's very weird. Anyways, so that's a big bug report that I gotta put in today. But I'll be able to do that while the video is rendering and or uploading to YouTube. Otherwise, if you guys have any feedback, be sure to leave it down in the comments below. Any questions, concerns, comments, misplay alerts, be sure to throw them all down there. And until next time, I will catch you guys around.